Not long ago, we went back to the space movies of the 1960s. Now it's time for the 1970s, and this list is all over the place in the best possible way. I know many might not agree with this film being on the list, but I want to start with it. The Black Hole is far from perfect, and was a commercial disappointment, but there is still so much to admire about it. Disney was clearly trying to break new ground with a more serious tone, and even with all its shortcomings, the ambition alone counts for something. This film arrived at the tail end of an era when big-budget productions still relied on extensive matte paintings and massive model work. There is a certain charm in the set design and visual style that is hard to find anywhere else in the genre today, a look that simply cannot be duplicated by modern CGI. And tying it all together is John Barry's score, which fits the film's aura like a glove. It adds a creepy, menacing quality that helps lift the movie above its occasionally hokey dialogue. Some might call the script muddled, and in many ways it is, but that ambiguity is also one of its secret weapons. Unlike today's blockbusters, which often feel the need to explain every tiny detail, this film leaves room for the audience to fill in the blanks. There are no flashbacks spelling out what happened to the original crew. You are simply left with a ship full of robots and masked mutes. By making you imagine the horrific, doomed struggle they must have gone through, the film adds a layer of mystery that a more straightforward plot could never achieve. And the absolute best part is the villains. If a movie were handing out awards for the wildest-looking antagonists, this one would win easily. Maximilian Schell is endlessly creepy as Dr. Hans Reinhardt, and then there is his robot counterpart, Maximilian, one of the most terrifying creations ever put on screen. Seeing those two side by side in the film's final moments, deep in what feels like the bowels of hell, is enough to make anyone squirm in their seat. Silent Running is a film that was truly ahead of its time. It isn't usually the first name that comes up when people discuss the greatest science fiction movies, which is a shame because Douglas Trumbull created a striking and deeply unusual world. The story is set in a future where all the trees on Earth have vanished. Our main character, Freeman Lowell, is a dedicated botanist living aboard a giant space freighter with greenhouse domes, working tirelessly to keep the last remnants of nature alive. The drama kicks in when he receives orders from Earth to destroy the very greenhouses he's spent his life protecting. He faces an impossible decision, and his struggle to save the natural world is what gives the movie its heart. While some might say the script is a bit heavy-handed with its environmental message, those themes feel more relevant to us today than ever before. And on top of that, it's just a charming little adventure story with a unique aesthetic. Someone might tell you that Italian rip-offs aren't worth your time, but that definitely won't be me. If you want a perfect example of why these movies are so much fun, you have to see Starcrash. It basically has everything George Lucas's space opera had. A score by an Oscar-winning composer, larger-than-life characters, and even lightsaber battles. But it also brings a level of weirdness that a mainstream blockbuster would never dream of. Where else are you going to see a young David Hasselhoff in heavy mascara or Caroline Munro as a bikini-clad space smuggler? There's even a police robot that has an inexplicable southern drawl and a cackling villain played by Joe Spinell who wants to rule the universe with a lava lamp. Even the legendary Christopher Plummer makes an appearance as an emperor who can change the course of history just by shouting at his battleship to halt the flow of time. Sure, there are movies with much bigger budgets, but they usually lack this kind of sheer dumb fun. It's kitschy and juvenile, but that B-movie charm makes it incredibly endearing. Starship Invasions is yet another film that usually gets dragged by the critics, but of course, not here. It is a bizarre Canadian relic from 1977, released right between Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and at almost any other moment, its creators could have been accused of trying to exploit the same sci-fi wave. The plot packs in as much Age of Aquarius and UFO mysticism as possible, placing telepathic aliens in pyramids beneath the Bermuda Triangle. It's a wonderful concoction of bad sci-fi tropes played with total deadpan seriousness. We get alien women in bikini costumes and white spandex, bald aloof leaders, and a robot that is clearly an extra in a diving helmet with useless metal spikes. The stars are the only ones who seem to hate the exercise. Christopher Lee, who famously called this his worst film, is ignominiously decked out in black robes delivering all his lines via dubbed-over telepathy. Beside him, Robert Vaughn is equally stiff. Surprisingly, for a B-movie, the special effects are great. The UFOs zip through space with impressive 3D trajectories and planetary shots that punch way above their weight class. It's an outlandishly entertaining affair that reaches a spectacular level of colorful naivete. Adapted from the great novel by sci-fi legend Stanislaw Lem, Solaris concerns itself not with space opera, explosions, or flashy special effects, but with philosophical speculation and poetic perception. There's an evocatively haunting atmosphere running through the whole film, and the opening on Earth immediately pulls you into its world. It's a testament to the artistic vision of Andrei Tarkovsky, a director who truly rivals Kubrick in terms of visual storytelling. The story follows psychologist Chris Kelvin, who is sent to examine the crew of a space station orbiting the mysterious planet Solaris, a world that seems to have a strange pull on the human mind. Once he arrives, Chris begins to understand that Solaris can recreate the memories of its visitors, including that of his long-departed wife, Hari. It is packed with hidden details in both dialogue and setting, and it's a film that practically demands a rewatch to fully digest its themes. World's most impressive student film and world's least impressive professional film. That's how Dan O'Bannon described Dark Star, a movie he co-wrote with John Carpenter that began as a 45-minute student project and was later expanded into a feature. You can feel that raw DIY energy in every frame. The plot is a brilliant sci-fi satire about a crew 20 years into a mission to blow up unstable planets. They've been out there so long they've practically forgotten why, and their biggest challenge isn't the vastness of space, but sheer, soul-crushing boredom. The real star of the show is Bomb, a sentient, highly sensitive explosive device that begins to have an existential crisis and starts questioning the meaning of its own existence. Then there's the alien mascot, famously just a spray-painted beach ball with rubber claws, causing absolute chaos on the ship. It's the hilarious, low-budget precursor to the kind of creature work O'Bannon would later become much more famous for. And, as it happens, that is exactly where we're headed next. Just 5 years later, Dan O'Bannon wrote Alien, and Ridley Scott directed it. The result was one of the best horror films ever made, and one of the best sci-fi films ever made. Unlike the glossy space fantasy of so many blockbusters, Alien feels cold, industrial, and frighteningly real. The crew are just ordinary working people, which makes the danger feel even worse. And at the center of it all is the xenomorph, one of the greatest monsters in movie history, used with just enough restraint and intelligence to make the film genuinely terrifying. And of course, I saved the most obvious title for last. Star Wars changed everything. George Lucas was clearly aiming big. The canvas here is enormous. An evil empire, planet-hopping adventure, space battles, mysticism, strange creatures, and a whole galaxy that feels larger than the film itself. But the genius of Star Wars is that it never loses sight of the people at the center of it. "May the Force be with you" became a mantra almost overnight, and its then unknown leads, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Mark Hamill, became household names. The premise itself was simple: rescue the princess, save the galaxy. But the way Star Wars brought that story to life felt completely new. More than that, Star Wars did not just succeed within the blockbuster model, it redesigned it. The spectacle was so huge, and the sense of awe so immediate, that it changed popular cinema forever. This was pop storytelling at its most thrilling, and space opera at its absolute peak.